Now we're not only being recorded, but we're broadcasting live to the internet. And as I like to say, all around the world, and maybe even in the space station, because they do have access to the internet there. So you never know. Maybe some of the cosmonauts and astronauts are going to pay attention. All right, enough fun chit chat as we get going. Tim, I'm going to make you trying to make you an admin or a co-host. So if you see people wanting to come in, if you will, go ahead and let them in. All right. So day 47 here on the We the People ride. It's a cross-country bike trip where we're trying to raise awareness to the issues of our immigration policies and practices. And we have ridden now, as of today, 2,056.34 miles. From San Diego to Winnie, Texas. You ever wondered how far it would be on a bicycle to ride from San Diego to Winnie, Texas, following along the western coast of the western border of Texas, where it borders Mexico, and then down along the coast? Well, it's 2,056 miles. And we got here today. Tomorrow is a big day for us. We will depart Texas. We have been in Texas since October 1st. It's October 26th. Now, we did take two breaks during that time. The first couple of days we got here, we took a break, and then we took a break here this last week for a few days, give our legs a rest. Some of us went home to visit people. Some of us went off to New York to do fancy things, but we did take a couple of breaks during that time. But Texas is a big state. We've skirted around the outside of it and along the border. We're going to tell you some stories about our experience, especially in McAllen, Texas, and Reynosa, Mexico last week. It was life-altering for many of the people who were with us. So we'll give you some of those updates. I'm going to show you a couple of videos tonight, let you see what we've been up to. And some of these videos, hopefully you've seen already if you're in our social streams, but we're going to put them all together in a little package for you. And also, if you haven't seen them, we want you to know that these are out there. We want you to be spreading them around. This is a storytelling effort. So what we're hoping is that people will tell the stories of what they see in their own towns. We've been riding along the U.S.-Mexico border, having unbelievable experiences. Sometimes I'm going through my photos and scanning through them, and I think, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. That was 30 days ago, on day 17 of the ride. And that's already now tucked away in a part of my memory, my head and memory on my computer, that are going to have to be brought back out. But so much is going on. We are making a documentary out of this, full length, normal kind of real documentary. So we're very excited about that. If you're interested in being part of the team that makes that documentary happen, meaning you want to be one of the funder producers, we'd love to have you do that. So more information about that's going to be coming, but start thinking about that now and start moving that money around so you have it liquid, so you can invest it in a very successful documentary that's about to come out, or be on our team that's pushing out the documentary when the time comes to be sharing it with others. So lots of ways to be involved that are not financial. But for those of you who do want to be involved on the financial level, we'd love to have you do that. We have different people join us. Last week we had a big group. It was just fantastic. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures here. There's our group. Hang on a second. I got to get this to the right. Tim, maybe you can tell me what you're seeing there on the screen. Trying to make sure that we only see. There we go. So we had a big group with us in Reynosa, Mexico. There were about, 15 or 16 of us at a different point that were all together. This is a group picture with a number of the people that you see here are part of our group and part of our team. Some of the bicycles around them or bicycle helmets on their head. The other people that you see are many people from Guatemala and from El Salvador who are living in Reynosa, Mexico in a makeshift camp that has been put together because of the Remain in Mexico policy. See, the Remain in Mexico policy was something started by the Trump administration that said if you want to seek asylum to the United States, you can do that, but you have to wait in Mexico while you are having your case adjudicated. It's immoral, it's wrong, it violates international norms and laws. It has to change. The Biden administration changed it, and then a court made them change it back because the way Trump administration put it together is legally fraught. So they're trying to figure that out, but it has real impact on real people's lives. One of the reasons, and I just want to be real pointed here about some of the lessons that we've learned. One of the reasons that you're hearing people say that we have the greatest number of illegal border crossings in our history and the numbers are way up, is because there's no legal way to currently enter the country. Some of that's because of a thing called Title 42, which says because of the health directive, because of coronavirus, they're not allowing people to come into the United States who have even visas. No one can come in across the land borders unless you're a U.S. resident. So people are having to illegally cross. That's why the numbers are up. The numbers are not up because more people want to break the law. The numbers are up because there is no legal way to get in the country currently. Many of these asylum seekers are in the same situation. So we had this wonderful experience with these just tremendously powerful, strong, faithful people. We're going to show you a video of one of them tonight. We interviewed a number of them, and the videos will be coming out in the coming days. So I want you to know that that's something that was that's been going on, that we did last week in Reynosa, Mexico. Just a little update on where we've been for the last couple of days. Today's ride was along the ocean in Galveston, Texas, and it was a good day. Not every day feels the same. In fact, of the 47, not one has felt like the previous day. Today felt pretty good. That's Mario back there. I shot a picture while we were riding. Little ocean waves there, crosswind. It was a good day. So today felt like a like a good experience. I want to share with you this picture. Sorry about my shirt being unzipped. I didn't realize it for the picture, but all right. It's so very hot down here where we are right now on the coast. The humidity is so high. We ride like this. But this guy walked up to us. He saw our truck and trailer, that you see in the background there, and he said, "Hey, just wanted to thank you for what you're doing," and gave us this really great encouragement about what we're up to. And we get a lot of that. We get random people that come up and just tell us thank you. It happened right where we're parked right now, just a few hours ago. Some of the people who are working on the landscaping at this RV park that we're staying at were parked next to where this trailer is parked. And when they were pulling out, they slowed down. The guy waved me over, and he looked to me like maybe he was from Mexican or Central American background. And he said, "Hey, you're biking across the country?" And we said, "Yeah, we're going to Florida." And said, "Yeah, how long?" And I said, "We're trying to give people a chance to voice the need for common good immigration." And all the people in the van just sort of popped their heads around and looked and said, "Thank you." So that's what's happening out here. People really are appreciative. Had a strange thing happen yesterday. You can see our truck there, our van. It says Cross Country Ride for Common Good. It says We the People for Common Good Immigration. There's another spot you'll see on our trailer, our truck, that says Love Beyond Borders. That's it. Nothing particularly political. Right, just as common good immigration and love beyond borders. And yesterday, just after this picture was taken, there were some people in a golf cart, which is very common on these little beach towns down here, people riding their golf carts. And a woman started yelling at us, "Build the wall, Trump, Trump, Trump." And it kind of reminded me that sometimes you don't have to be very pointed for the point to be made, right? I think people know sort of what we're up to. But it's interesting. You see love beyond borders and common good immigration, and people immediately think the opposite of that is the previous administration and the current Republican attitude. I think they're probably right about that. But we get a lot of this, people sort of saying thank you. Nearly everywhere we go, we ask someone, we tell them what we're doing, and we ask them, what do you know? And sometimes we hear about their own immigration stories. Tim maybe I'll tell you about one that he heard just today at this RV park. The one we were at yesterday, woman working there is Canadian, and she immigrated 16 years ago. And everybody we say, we're trying to change the way immigration happens in this country. They all say, yeah, it's really, really broken. The one thing everyone seems to agree on, it's just not good the way it is. And it's really hard to get people's attention around this. It's almost one of those things that we've just baked in, that we know it's not good. But what you going to do about it? So that's where we find ourselves. So today has been an interesting experience. We caught a glimpse of this little guy off the side of the road. I mean, we're down here on the coast. There's an alligator making his way out of the ravine. And so we were joking that last night at a little beachside restaurant, we did order gator bites. And I said, I don't think we should mess around with this. I think we eat alligators. They're going to come find us. And what do you know? The next day, there's a gator right on the side of the road. We haven't seen one yet until today. And we ate alligator yesterday. And now there's an alligator. I'm just saying, we've been seeing a lot of cows too, and a lot of chicken. So I don't know. I feel like you eat it, you you're going to find it. All right. So, Tim, do you want to say anything about the person you were talking with today, or the person that you met? Would that be any interest to you?
Sure, but you might want. Yeah, when I checked in at the hotel RV park here, went in. There's a very nice, nicely dressed, very official looking gentleman of Middle Eastern or Pakistani descent, and he was talking about what it was like to be in this hotel. He looks like their family probably bought this place and are redoing it and fixing it up and everything. And he says it's a new business, and he wrote me out a handwritten map of the layout of the park, and he showed me, drew out the spaces and said, okay, this is where you want to park the RV, and the trucks go over here, and all this information, just very, very calm and polite. And then he was I told him we were going across the country, and he thought that was pretty crazy. And then about immigration, and talking about immigration on both sides. And so we kind of have this habit of asking everybody their own immigration stories. And so he said, he got so polite and put his hands together like he says, I did it the right way. He said, I came to America the right way. He said, and it still took me 11 years to get his green card. And he said it's, the system is just broken. And so it just was a reminder again, that it isn't only the people who are coming, in a manner that to our government, to some of our citizens seems to be illegal or wrong. And they always say things like, well, why don't they do it the legal way? Even the legal way is broken. And so here's someone, their life was pretty much in limbo because you can't have a full employment experience until you have a green card. And it took them 11 years to get that. So it just was another example of how really, truly in need of reform we are.
Yeah, we're just Well, now.
Now we can. Now what?
You're hearing it?
No. I can hear your.
I'm not sure what's going on. Sorry about this. Okay.
Now I got you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Tim has helped me figure out that we're getting some audio problems here, and you all aren't able to hear that audio. So I'm going to switch something and play that for you differently. If you've hung on this long, good for you. Thank you. I appreciate it. We're going to play for you this video here of our news story. And I'm afraid you didn't hear some of the rest of that, but I'm just going to play play the news piece for you. Sorry. I think I've never done this before. Okay, Tim, I'm really hoping you see this video now.
Yes. No audio though. Oh no. Nope, no audio.
You're seeing the video with no audio?
Yes.
I don't know what's happening, but you're seeing the video.
Yes, I can see it.
Can you show me your phone? Okay. And it's not, okay, it's nothing on your end, right?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I can hear you.
Okay. Boy, this is awfully embarrassing, isn't it? I bet I have to click this little button. Share sound. Why would that ever possibly be something where you wouldn't share the sound? Okay, here we go. Hey, everybody, really sorry about this. This is such an amateur hour. Do this all the time. Here's a video, some news coverage of us in McAllen, Texas.
All right, thank you, Alan. That weather pretty nice today for a bike ride, especially one that started nearly 1,600 miles ago in California. People riding in that group saying they want to get the attention of the White House. They're asking for the Remain in Mexico policy to end. The Biden administration announcing it's going back into effect next month after a federal judge's ruling. Here's our
What on earth is happening?
You got the audio that time, but there's a box in front of it.
Oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. Just bananas. Sorry, everybody. We're gonna, you know what we're gonna do? We're not gonna quit. We're gonna get this thing right. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, share. Oh, the third time.
All right, thank you, Alan. That weather pretty nice today for a bike ride, especially one that started nearly 1,600 miles ago in California. People riding in that group saying they want to get the attention of the White House. They're asking for the Remain in Mexico policy to end. The Biden administration announcing it's going back into effect next month after a federal judge's ruling. Here's our Monica de Anda with their journey.
The thing I'm worried about is how this tire is going to do.
One by one, cyclists with We the People ride unloaded each bike.
A lot of people in the rest of America, as you might know, they don't know what happens at the border. They only see certain stories.
Doug Paget has been riding along the U.S.-Mexico border since September 11th. Starting in California, making a valley stop on their cross-country trip with his fellow bike riders to bring awareness to the immigration issue the U.S. is facing. He says he's seen just about everything.
Heartbreak from migrants and asylum seekers who are forced to remain in Mexico. Heartbreak of Border Patrol who have had to try to save the lives of people crossing the desert. We've seen the heartbreak of people who work in humanitarian and religious communities.
Padgett says we the people believe asylum seekers should be able to stay in the U.S. until their court date. But the Biden administration announced the Remain in Mexico policy will start back up next month. The decision has migrants wait out their asylum cases in Mexico, something Padgett says puts them in danger.
They're susceptible to robbery, to rape, to abuse, to extortion from criminal cartels. And if the United States needs to continue to keep those people out of this country, then they should fund a situation where they can be kept safe.
So far, the group has traveled 1,578 miles on these bikes along their cross-country ride.
To make sure it fits well.
And today, their journey continued in McAllen.
So communicate with each other, and we're going to go 10 miles.
The We the People ride started in San Diego, California, and now these bikers are going to head on over into Reynosa to check out the migrant situation on the other side before they continue along their journey to Jacksonville, Florida.
Look, we're biking because we want to go slow, we want to be close, and we want to feel as much as we can the experience of traveling across our country and through many of the spaces that the migrants have to travel.
A bike ride that Padgett says brings them a little closer to understanding what migrants go through, in hopes of hearing their stories, telling them across the country, and bringing change to immigration policies.
So often these same people have one attitude when they're thinking about their faith, and then another attitude when they think about their politics. And we want them to have the same level of compassion and goodness and care when they vote and the people that they support politically as they do when they think about their faith.
See ya!
Monica de Anda, Channel 5 News, this weekend.
Yeah, so there it is. That was a nice little news story. We're very proud of the work we're doing, very proud of what the work that Practice Mercy is doing. I think I may have been on mute during all of that, but hopefully you heard bits and pieces of it. So yeah, we're traveling doing this storytelling, and we crossed that border, and then within hours we sat down for this interview with Maria. We actually sat with 5 migrant asylum seekers, 4 moms from Guatemala and 1 man from Mexico. We're going to share out those videos over the next few weeks. Maria is one of them, and we want to show you the incredible story of Maria and of a bit of her story and a bit of what she has had to live through and has had to experience. And so much of this has to do with the fact that our U.S. border policy is the way that it is, and it doesn't need to be this way. It used to be this way. We know it's not going to be this way in the future. It doesn't need to be this way now. So here is Maria and her story.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es María. Yo vivo allá en Aldea Timactés, San Matías Tetango, municipio de Huehuetenango.
It's from a small village in Guatemala.
And when did you leave your village?
Salí de mi país porque
there's not enough food. There's dangers for death, danger for rape, danger for kidnapping for my child, and I could not protect them. And that, not only that, but we didn't have enough food. It didn't matter how long I worked, not enough food.
Por allá no hay escuela, no hay luz, y no hay hospital, no hay nada. Por eso yo trabajé.
I worked for long hours, and I could only buy beans and buy corn. And even that, it wasn't enough to feed my child and myself.
Mi esposo hace
left me,
años.
And I am the only one that can protect my children, and I'm the only one that can provide for them. So I don't want to forsake them, so I choose to protect them.
Who are your children?
¿Cuántos niños tienes?
2.
I have 2 children.
Un varón y un hembra.
1 boy and 1 girl.
How old are they?
Es mi hijo, trae 11 años.
One is 11.
Mi niña dejó 9 años.
And my girl that is back in Guatemala is 9 years old.
So why is your daughter back in Guatemala?
It cost over 34,000 quetzal, which is the Guatemalan money. It's a lifetime, and I could not afford to pay to bring both children.
Maria, I'm so sorry. That has to be the most difficult decision for you to have to make.
Sí, es difícil. Me quedo triste. Cuando me dejaba mi niña.
¿Mande?
Cuando me dejó mi niña allá en Guatemala, estoy triste. Yo quiero luchar por mis niños. Yo no quiero perder mi vida, mis hijos. Por eso yo
I don't want my children to lose their lives. I don't want my children to get raped. I don't want my children to get kidnapped. I don't want my children to get killed. And I'd rather risk my own life so I can save theirs.
Allá no hay luz, no hay agua potable, no hay nada. Yo me trabajé día a día.
I want to keep fighting for the sake of my children. I work from 6 in the morning until 4 or 5 at night. And even though I work very, very hard, I don't have enough resources to feed my children. And not only that, because I work so hard that they are in danger. So I want to protect them, and I want to save them, and I want to do my best to do that.
Gracias a mi primo, él me ayudó, por eso yo quiero cruzar, yo quiero llegar a los Estados Unidos, por mi primo, él me ayudó.
And that's why I'm here. I want to save my children's lives. So I have a cousin in the United States that may help me, and so I'm doing my best to do that.
Okay, Maria, thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Gracias por hacer esto.
These are incredibly powerful stories, and all of the people that we interviewed wanted us to interview them and want us to share their stories. Some of the interviews that we've done over these last 46 days that we've been on the ride, the asylum seekers or migrants have asked us not to show their faces. In this case, all the people that we're showing their faces have asked us to do so. What they want is they want their story to get out. They feel that their story can have impact. We believe that it can have impact. We've met a lot of people along this ride, and we'll hear people repeating this refrain that was so common among the Trump administration times to say, these aren't really asylum seekers. These aren't even their children. We have people tell us that. They'll say, sure, the immigration is broken, but a lot of those asylum seekers, they're just grabbing kids and dumping them in the desert and this kind of thing. You'll hear it too. I promise you, bring it up, start asking around about people, what they think about immigration, asylum seekers, and you'll hear this. What about all the fraud? What about the people that are sneaking in or using asylum as a cover? There may be a moment where that's happened, sure. There are thousands and thousands of families living in abject poverty because of our policies. And if we think that it's anything close to reasonable, moral, or decent to say, well, what if someone commits fraud? So let's leave thousands of people in a situation that they weren't in just years ago, and we know they're not going to be in years from now. So why are we doing this? This is the part that makes some of us just, feel like we're losing our minds, because it doesn't make any sense. It's not necessary. It's not anything that's good or is going to last. We have one more video that I want to show you, and then I'm going to make some comments about where we are here just outside of Galveston in a minute. And these are the lessons that we've learned as we've gone along this route. We're trying to capture. I'm trying to work it out for myself. A lot of people who are on this experience with us, we're trying to work it out. If you choose to come ride with us in these last 20 days that we have left, you'll be trying to work it out for yourself. What is going on, and how does this all actually work? So here's a compilation of some lessons that we've learned along the way. There's a video we haven't shown anybody yet. It's first time for all of you. You get the first.
Those of us on the We the People ride, we've ridden our bikes the entire length of the United States-Mexico border, 1,700 miles from California to the coast of Texas. We are musicians, faith leaders, pastors, activists, regular old people, actors, all kinds of us who are thinking about
What do we need to know about life on our U.S.-Mexico border? We've learned a few things. One lesson that we learned is that the U.S.-Mexico border is safe on both sides.
Yes, life here on the border, especially this amazing city, the city of Douglas, and the city of Opreta, Sonora, Mexico, a very peaceful place.
It's a wonderful community, you know, it's so quiet. It's just like, oh, it's a ghost town, but it's not, because it's very, very active.
I know Paso is very safe. It's a very safe place to live.
I know the impression that many people have throughout the country is that it's lawless, that there's shootings going on, that there's all kinds of crime. Nothing could be further from the truth.
It's a stereotype that you know, everybody in Mexico is crook. Yes. You know.
Mexico's not what people make it look like, you know? Like whether the government, like you get killed out there if you go there. That's what the first thing people think.
The media I've seen has been covering it as kind of dangerous.
I tell her, okay, you're gonna come down, go to the church, but then we're gonna go to Mexico. Is it safe? Could I go? Would I be in any trouble at all? No, you won't. Not at all.
It's really not like that, you know. It's just it's a lot of love out here. People don't see that no more, you know.
Well, you know, there's all this slander about. We get a lot of tourists down here from all over the U.S. for the winter time.
The one that the Gordon Ramsay show where he comes in and like flips everything upside down to like save it to make sure.
I feel maybe people should experience things to know more about them. Maybe come check it out and see how safe it really is.
Now, that's not what you always hear from people in the media and certainly from some politicians. They dredge up a whole lot of fear to make people feel like the border is a war zone. The second lesson that we've learned is it's not entirely safe if you're a migrant. That the policies of the United States government put migrants in such great risk. And even though some people want to say that migrants are the ones we're to be afraid of, the migrants who are coming into our country are vulnerable, and traveling into our country is not safe for so many of the men, women, and children who choose to enter this country.
Salí de mi país porque
there's not enough food, there's dangers for death, danger for rape, danger for kidnapping for my child, and I could not protect them. And that, not only that, but we didn't have enough food. It didn't matter how long I worked, not enough food.
El coyote nos trajo en trailers.
Smuggler gets them into cattle semi-truck. Around 200 to 300 people, pregnant women, children, all together. And they're allowed 1 bottle of water and 1 Pedialyte, but no food.
Nosotros solo, ellos dicen pues para los coyotes dicen que cuando nos traen.
No, they trick us. The smugglers trick us, and after they take our money, they put us on these cattle semi-trucks, and they don't feed us and they don't allow us to shower, and it takes almost over 30 days to get here.
Me quedo triste cuando me dejaba mi niña.
¿Mande?
Cuando me dejó mi niña allá en Guatemala, estoy triste. Yo quiero luchar por mis niños. Yo no quiero perder mi vida, mis hijos. Por eso yo
I don't want my children to lose their lives. I don't want my children to get raped. I don't want my children to get kidnapped. I don't want my children to get killed. And I'd rather risk my own life so I can save theirs.
Es la mano de Dios sobre nosotros. Él nos cuidó. Él siempre ha estado con nosotros. Dios nunca nos ha dejado.
It's the hand of God that has protected us. It's the hand of God that has protected our children, because we should have been dead.
Yo quiero porque ya no quiero regresar. Porque ahorita,
and I am praying that God will open the doors for us, for our children, because I cannot go back to Guatemala. And I want to have the opportunity to claim asylum.
Esto que abra las puertas.
The third lesson is that it's nonprofit groups that are meeting the needs of people along the border. Our federal policies come up far short of where they should be. And it's nonprofit, often faith-based groups that have to step in and fill the gap and care for people.
Oh, I hope that you can just stay and watch the process.
We will.
Because this is
it.
what it's all about. Coming. Good morning.
Am I turning this thing?
Yes, you are. So in spring of 19, our county experienced a surge. And at that time, Border Patrol was at capacity and didn't know really where to leave those people. And so it was creating a problem within the community. Border Patrol then reached out to all the pastors in our area. Out of that, one pastor in particular said, I think we can do this better. And his name was Pastor Sean Young, and he is with City Church.
What I saw underneath the bridge and the amount of people underneath the bridge, I mean, I never imagined seeing anything like that in Del Rio, you know, working with the immigrants for the last couple of years. That was an eye-opener. In this area, we've been seeing, if memory serves me right, 25 to 30,000 a month crossing the Del Rio sector. We haven't had a place to overnight. So they'll usually just wait at the airport, or they'll wait at the bus station overnight. You know, if it's a vulnerable mom with a baby, and you know, we'll obviously try to get her kind of placed if possible. Again, we're just so small, and we just don't have the manpower ourselves, and we would definitely need buy-in from other entities and government entities to make that work.
And again, I just want to emphasize, this is you and Tiffany and a group of volunteers doing all of this work on behalf of migrants and in coordination with other federal agencies to stand in the gap and make all that work.
It goes back to the fact that we are faith-based, and helping others is a big part of what we do. And so when you're coming from that vantage point, it's really not that political. It's just what needs to be done.
We're very glad for the work of the Valverde Humanitarian Coalition. It's crucial work, but it's work that should be carried on in partnership with the federal government and paid for by the federal government. It doesn't make sense that small nonprofit groups like this have to carry all of this burden to care for people. It just rubs us the wrong way, and we think that there's a better way for us to move forward in our public policy and in how we spend our money along the U.S.-Mexico border.
So those are our big three lessons on this, that it's safe. Republicans and other politicians often want to tell you that it's not. That scene that we saw on the boats where we were riding along and talking to the boat captain has run a river tour on the Rio Grande River there in McAllen for 40 years. And he's just at the point where we were speaking of, that's in the recording there, he said, we're about to come up on the place where those 10 governors, maybe you know the 10 Republican governors, came and met on the Rio Grande River to talk about the danger of it and how they need to increase border security and build a wall. He said it was right here, just up the way. And he said, you know, they stood out here and talking about, and he's not a political guy at all, but he just said, you know, I watch them come down here and they stand out here and talk about how people are shooting across the river. And he said, I live right there on the other side of the river. You think I'm going to live there if people are shooting? So I've been here 40 years. No one's ever shot across the river. Pan the camera over, and there's literally a park on the other side where we were that day, where families are having a picnic. And I'm not saying that all things along the Rio Grande are picnics. It's also where migrants are forced to cross, and there's a lot of people who are using what are called coyotes or guides that lead them across there, and they're being exploited and they're being harmed. But the danger is not from the migrants. The danger is to the migrants. It's as if we're blaming the victims of violence in our immigration policy and the way we talk about it. So, and look, this has surprised me greatly too. When we knew we were going to be riding along the Rio Grande River, I was like, hey, this is kind of a big deal. I wonder what we're going to see when we're out there. Because, you know, the way it gets talked about is that this is like the heartbeat of it all. Then you get out there and it's a beautiful river with I'm not exaggerating, you'll see some videos coming about this, playgrounds and beautiful parks and big homes on the other side. Like the financial and economic inequality is what will grab you. Not that it's dangerous and that it's a war zone. You see these politicians out there in their duck hunting jackets looking like they're, you know, in the military or something. That's the militarization of the border is unnecessary, it's harmful, and it's cruel. And then these small nonprofits that are solving the problem. Federal government needs to do more to support the asylum seekers and the migrants when they are allowed to come in the country. And then we force them to not stay in the country, but stay under our judicial orders. You have to pay for it that way too. So there's some really straightforward solutions that can happen, that need to happen, and we're going to do all that we can to lobby people to help make that happen. So that's the work that we're going to be up to in the coming weeks and months as we advocate about all of this. And I just want to say something about where we are right now in Galveston, and that's one of the reasons I was excited to come to Galveston on this journey. Is that I've become aware, just I don't know, I feel like the last 5 years or so, 6 years, of Juneteenth. Some people, are just celebrating Juneteenth for the first time, but Juneteenth is the day when the African American community for 100 years or so has been remembering that the announcement of the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation was made to the slaves and to all the people in Galveston, Texas. Juneteenth originated in Galveston, Texas. It was 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation before federal announcements were made in Galveston, announcing to people that slaves were freed and couldn't be held any longer within all the edicts. So Galveston is the center of the Juneteenth experience. And that's important because our current immigration programs and policies and attitudes are deeply rooted to our understanding of slavery in this country. You can't pull the two apart, not just because it's how non-white people have been treated, that's true, but also because the way that we think about people who've been brought to this country or have chosen to come to this country as if they are dangerous roots itself in our slavery narratives. And because our slavery narratives were so cruel to people, there's this belief that our immigration policies need to somehow protect us from the very people who want to come into this country. So every time you hear about immigration being talked about in terms of being protected from those who are immigrating, also know that people have been talking for 150 years about being protected from the slaves when the slaves were freed. That the modern day police forces were, in the earliest iteration, slave forces to protect white landowners and white slave owners from the slaves that were recently freed. One of the things I'll talk about if you were to come to Galveston and do the Juneteenth, or if you just Google Juneteenth in Galveston, they have a beautiful online program that they'll take you through about this, about how concerned they were when they made the announcement that slaves were going to be free, of what slaves former slaves couldn't do, where they couldn't congregate, where they could get jobs, how they would handle their money. All of these things that now have just continued on 150 years later in the United States, or 140 years later here in the United States. And the slave narrative is inextricabably linked to the immigration narrative of today. So it's really important for us that we're here, that we're understanding these things. And it's a little confusing because you come to Galveston and like along the ocean, it's just stunningly beautiful beach town. I mean, there's a downtown part, but much of it's along the beach, and it's incredible. But that's the conundrum of the United States, this incredible glory and beauty in its people and in its physical environment. But then there's also these stories. And when we talk about moving to a more perfect union, wouldn't it be great if our stories going forward were just as beautiful as the people and the places that we're able to see? So that's some of what we're trying to do, some of the work that we're up to. We love to take questions. There's some Britain watches on social media. So if you have any questions, you've stuck with us all this time through all those technical glitches on social media, we'd love to give you your questions. If you're here on the Zoom and hidden away somewhere, we'd also love to take any of your questions. People often ask some very straightforward ones like, how far do you ride each day? 50 to 70 miles. Today was 72, yesterday was 70. Okay, so 50 to 72 miles. Last couple of days have been 72-mile days. We're mostly going to be riding in the 50s and 60 miles a day as we go. We take days off about every 10 days or so. And so people also ask, what do you eat? And my answer has sort of become anything in front of us. eat about anything. We eat a little bit out of the RV here in the mornings, and then a peanut butter and jelly sandwich made by Tim Gilman. All of you should get on your life list to have a Tim Gilman made peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We eat those sort of mid-ride, and then some little energy bars and chews. But it's amazing how your body can get used to going for 5 or 6 hours with just a very, very little food. And then every once in a while, it's Pizza Hut. I mean, tonight, I haven't had Pizza Hut, I don't know, feels like since 1983, but by golly, we saw Pizza Hut and ordered one, and I probably ate a whole pizza myself. So sometimes, we're out here feeling like, children eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day. And some days you feel like, college age people eating pizza and hamburgers and nachos, and a lot of salads, and, some other things. But food, you take it when you can get it, and you eat it as we go. Third question people often ask is, how can we join in? Share these videos, share our posts, follow us on social media, make a donation. All that can happen over at wethepeopleride.org. Come and join us. We'd really love for you to come and join along the way. Some of you have already decided, it's settled. You've thought about it. The answer is nope, you can't come. Fair enough. But there's somebody out there that's still thinking, I don't know, maybe I could just drive down to Biloxi. Maybe I could just drive down to Pensacola. Maybe I could just drive down to New Orleans. Maybe I could join in for a day or 2 or 3. Come and join us. We have bikes for you. We'd love to have you join us. We know that Vanessa's coming back. We know that Abe is going to come down. We know that Joe is going to come down. We know that Shane is going to come down. So there's people that are coming, join in the merry band of common do-gooders in this effort, and we'll raise our voices together, and we'll do all that we can to activate people that when they go to vote on the first Tuesday of each November each year, that they take the very best of their life, hope, and faith into what they can do for them. So thanks for sticking with us, and we appreciate you watching all this and hanging along, and we will catch you on the other side.